Hello friends. The first Chyrons received a 5-cylinder 2.7 XDI turbo diesel with a capacity of 163 to 176 horsepower. A little later, versions appeared with a 4-cylinder 2.0 XDI turbo diesel with a return of 136 to 145 horsepower. A 150 horsepower aspirated petrol with a volume of 2.3 liters was offered after restyling. It became an alternative to the 2-liter diesel. All SsangYong power units are modernized analogs of Mercedes. The only engine that has retained maximum closeness to the original is a 2.3-liter gasoline engine known from cars with a star such as M111.970. All engines have a timing chain type drive. Diesel units have a characteristic Mercedes drawback: sticking of fuel injectors and glow plugs, often the most distant ones. If you try to unscrew them, they can break off. To extract it, you will have to remove the cylinder head and drill out the remains. To avoid trouble in the future, it is recommended to remove the injectors and glow plugs every 40,000 kilometers and lubricate the seats. Fuel injectors are sensitive to fuel quality. Previously, they served more than 200,000 kilometers. In younger copies, nozzles often have to be changed after 100 to 150,000 kilometers. At the same time, glow plugs may also fail. After 50,000 kilometers, interruptions in the operation of the diesel engine are possible due to a clogged EGR valve. Turbo failures occur due to failure of the turbine vacuum modulator. The filter is clogged and should be cleaned or replaced. The turbocharger, as a rule, serves more than 200,000 kilometers. In older units, after 200 to 250,000 kilometers, the likelihood of failure of the timing chain hydraulic tensioner increases. An extraneous sound appears. In freshly assembled cars, the tensioner can fail at a range of 30 to 100,000 kilometers. The gasoline engine is perhaps the most reliable. True, the pump often gives up after 20 to 30,000 kilometers. A leak, noise, or pulley play is detected. In the case of other Kyron engines, the pump life exceeds 100,000 kilometers. After 40 to 60,000 kilometers, a noisy roller or a drive belt tensioner damper may require replacement. Another sore of gasoline engines is the destruction of the exhaust system bracket. In winter, there is an occasional hang-up of revolutions. The disease is caused by the appearance of condensate in the intake system and the freezing of the throttle assembly. Owners of old Mercedes are well familiar with this feature. In rare cases, after 100 to 150,000 kilometers, a breakdown of the head gasket occurs. Upon opening, a casting defect is found. The first Chyrons were aggregated exclusively with 5-speed manual and automatic. Petrol versions were equipped with either a 5-speed manual transmission or a 4-speed automatic transmission. In July of 2008, all automatic transmissions gave way to a 6-speed automatic. The 5-speed automatic was left only for the 2.7 XDI. The manual gearbox is quite durable, which cannot be said about the clutch system. If the disc itself is guaranteed to last more than 100 to 150,000 kilometers, then the hydraulic release bearing will not last even 100,000 kilometers. The 5-speed automatic transmission is perhaps the most reliable of all the automatic transmissions. The box was widely used in Mercedes cars and has the nomenclature designation 722.6. Its resource before the first repair is more than 200 to 250,000 kilometers. Among the common faults are oil leakage through the connector, failure of the electrical board, and wear of the torque converter. The 4-speed automatic was developed by the Australian company BTR, specifically for the SsangYong back in 1989. It is able to travel more than 150 to 200,000 kilometers. Next, you have to change the torque converter and sort out the valve body. The 6-band machine turned out to be the most vulnerable. It is a modern modification of the 4-speed BTR. Unfortunately, the box plagues with malfunctions after the first 30 to 60,000 kilometers. Most often, the automatic machine of more loaded diesel versions suffers. However, there are examples of carefree operation over 200,000 kilometers. And yet, troubles are more common. The main disadvantage is strong shocks during switching. In addition, the box is not tolerant of oil overheating, which negatively affects the longevity of the electrics. Some owners even had to deal with the destruction of the planetary gear bearing. The only thing that can extend the life of any automatic transmission is regular oil changes. This procedure should be resorted to every 40 to 60,000 kilometers. The SsangYong Kyron could be both all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive. There are two all-wheel drive systems. First, AWD with automatic torque distribution, but without a reduction series. Only used in conjunction with the 2.7 XDI and therefore not officially offered. The second, par-time, is a rigidly connected front axle with a reduction gear. This scheme was the only one possible on the Russian Chyrons. Hubs, couplings are responsible for connecting the wheels. The control is carried out by a vacuum system. Connectivity issues can occur due to leaks in the system. In addition, after 80 to 100,000 kilometers, the hubs themselves fail. Moisture gets into the system and the clutch rusts. Often, when using all-wheel drive on difficult off-road conditions, the front axle mounting bracket is destroyed. If there is an automatic machine on board, the defect along the way leads to damage to the transmission fluid cooling tubes. The attachment point can be modified by redistributing the load. After prevention, there are no problems. The transmission of the Korean SUV is quite gentle. With frequent off-road trips, the chain in the transfer case is stretched. The transfer case itself can be capricious due to a broken wiring or corrosion of the contacts of the executive motor connector. The front axle differential also does not like loads. After 50,000 kilometers, transmission seals may leak. The front left drive oil seal may lose tightness after the first 10,000 kilometers. Transmission elements require regular maintenance. In addition to the traditional replacement of fluids, it is necessary to inject the propeller shaft crosses. The front axle has an independent double wishbone suspension, and the rear axle has a solid axle. Versions with permanent all-wheel drive, AWD, at the rear have a multi-link suspension. The ball bearings of the front axle sometimes give up after 30 to 60,000 kilometers. Later, reinforced ball joints were produced, the resource of which increased to 100,000 kilometers. The silent blocks of the front lower arms also fail relatively quickly at the lower attachment points of the stabilizer struts after 40 to 80,000 kilometers. Shock absorbers serve more than 100 to 150,000 kilometers, but the springs can sag after 20 to 30,000 kilometers. The upper steering rack seal can leak after 50 to 80,000 kilometers, and the steering rack often starts knocking after 100,000 kilometers. After 20 to 70,000 kilometers, play is sometimes found in the lower steering shaft. Packing lubricant helps for a while. The shaft has to be changed. Over time, the parking brake cables turn sour. Previous SsangYong models suffered from excessive corrosion. The Kyron, as a rule, does not give such strong reasons for concern. With age, red spots can be found only on the edges of the doors and wings. Surface corrosion is observed on the frame, suspension, and transmission elements. Exhaust system parts rust more intensively. After 30 to 50,000 kilometers, the attachment points of the body to the frame can collapse, most often the front ones. In addition, sometimes the front part of the body cracks. The problem is typical for cars that regularly go off-road. The destroyed elements are boiled. Older copies practically do not suffer from diseases of electronics and control systems. The owners of Russian Chyrons, on the contrary, note the short service life of outdoor lighting lamps. Durability and the clock on the front panel do not differ, which sometimes have to be changed several times. With age, the contacts of the backlight of the state number rot. If you know of other model malfunctions, be sure to write about it.